Good morning, Bimblers. And you join me in a very busy Lancaster. Everyone's on their way to school and to work. Not us though, Bimblers. We're off bimbling to Morecambe, down National Cycle Route 69. 69, dude. So let's stop messing about and let's bimble.
Washed in clean by a riverside. They told you the news. Kept so cold in the blackest tide. If only you knew. I've heard what they've said, ignored what I read, and looked to the bright side. So here's to the bad times, forgotten in good lives. I won't let you down. I'll take off my shoes and dance to the good news. Broken smiles, well, they won't turn it round. So take off your shoes and dance to the good news. Left too long in the passing time.
Our first port of call is Torrisholme Cemetery here in Morecambe. It was built in 1906, and its first resident, is that the right word? The first person to be buried here was a Fanny Edmondson. She was buried at 3 p.m. on the 22nd of May 1906. We don't actually know where she was buried. It was an unmarked grave, but we do know how much a funeral cost. £2, 2 shillings and 6pence. One of the famous graves here at Torrisholme Cemetery is the grave of George and Sarah Bartholomew, or Sadie Bartholomew. They had a son called Eric Bartholomew, and you'll know him as Eric Morecambe. If you've watched the BBC drama about Morecambe and Wise, you'll know how instrumental Sadie Bartholomew was in getting them as famous as they were. There are some actual entertainers buried here though, not just their mums and dads. There's the grave of a James Hearns, or to give him his stage name, Jimmy Cooney. Very unfortunate. He was born in Charlottesville, Virginia in 1867, and only 2 years before his birth, his mother and father were freed from slavery thanks to the 13th Amendment. He had 6 brothers and sisters, but as with the times, he only ever met 2 of them. His mother was sold to different plantations, separate from her children. At the tender age of 12, James met an Irish merchant named Mr. Moore, and he offered to take him over to Ireland to work in a big house, which he accepted. He boarded a White Star liner from New York and went to Queenstown in Ireland. He worked for a right rich lad from Tipperary. That was up until he was 16, when he literally ran away and joined the circus. He travelled the world with that circus, but eventually he stowed himself away on a ship to Liverpool and he became a sailor. He worked as a seaman and an entertainer, and he even tried to pass himself off as a champion boxer. He eventually settled in Morecambe and became a clown by the pier and sold portraits of people on the holidays. That's where he met his wife Emily, and they got married and had 2 Lancastrian children. That would be Bella and James Jr. He was quite a famous face in the area. He used to work taking the tickets at the Royalty Theatre in Morecambe, and it was the owner of the Royalty Theatre that got a collection together to get him such an elaborate headstone as tribute to the man. Anyway, speaking of Morecambe, let's bimble.
You know what you know to be true. Dim lit scenes of a better life. ignored what I read, and looked to the bright side. So here's to the bad times forgotten in good lives. I won't let you down. I won't let you down. I'll take off my shoes and dance to the good news. Broken smiles when they will turn it round. Smiles when they will turn it round. So take off your shoes and dance to the good news. Take off your shoes and dance to the good news.
This cycle path that we've been going down used to be a railway line. Shock horror. It was the Midland Railway, Morecambe branch. But before it was the Midland Railway, it was the North Western Railway. Not to be confused with the London and North Western Railway. Two different things. In fact, the railway here in Morecambe is nicknamed the Little North Western Railway, so that the railway enthusiasts don't get confused. It also goes by the moniker the Green Air Railway. That's because of a station near to Lancaster that it would have passed through. Originally the whole line would have gone from Skipton in Yorkshire to Morecambe Harbour. This station where we stood right now, Morecambe, wasn't the end of the line. It carried on through another station called Northumberland Street, and then through Promenade Station to Morecambe Harbour Station. The line was opened in 1848, long before Haitian Port. So the nearest harbour was Morecambe Harbour. It was actually the idea of the Midland Railway to set up Haitian Port, to get bigger ships in, more cargo, more freight, more passengers. The lighthouse at the end of the stone jetty here in Morecambe used to be Morecambe Harbour Station. And the Promenade Station is now the platform venue. Maybe we'll do a Bimblism live there one day. Who knows? If you do decide to cycle between Lancaster and Morecambe, you'll see lots of evidence that it used to be a railway. Railway bridges, some railway sleepers. You'll also see the remains of an electrified line, an experimental one. They used to call it the Golden Mile, and it formed the basis of the electrification of the West Coast Main Line. Let's bimble. Behind me is the Midland Hotel, quite the local landmark, and it was opened by the Midland Railway. It was the perfect idea. If you were going to be bringing all those passengers on your railway to the seaside for a holiday, why not build a hotel for them to stay in? It joins many more Midland hotels, like the Midland Hotel in Manchester or the Midland Hotel in London. That was designed by Sir George Gilbert Scott. It's where the Spice Girls filmed the video for Wannabe, which is clearly why he designed it that way. This hotel replaced the North Western Hotel in 1933, North Western being the old owners of the railway line. The original North Western Hotel was built in 1847 by my favourites, Hubert Austin and Edward Graham Paley. I kind of wish it was still here. But they did build this rather stunning Art Deco icon. It was designed by an Oliver Hill, and up until 1930 he mostly worked on country houses in the arts and crafts style. But he went to the Stockholm exhibition in 1930 and his head was turned by modernism, hence the Midland Hotel, and also Newbury Tube Station. That's very Art Deco and very modern. He designed that. He also designed the British Pavilion at the 1937 Paris Expo, and that seems to be where a majority of his work ends. He blames Adolf Hitler for that. After the war, there wasn't much need for grand buildings. There was a lot of national debt and a lot of things to be rebuilt. But there's more fabulous buildings here in Morecambe, just up there. Let's bimble. This rather grand building behind me is Morecambe Town Hall. It was designed by an Alfred Cross with some help from his son Kenneth. Alfred Cross was in partnership with a Henry Spalding, and they were very famous for making public baths. They made Dulwich public baths, Hampstead, Camberwell, Coventry, Finsbury and Walthamstow. Alfred Cross also designed the Sackville building at the University of Manchester, and that's massive, very impressive. Morecambe Town Hall was officially opened in 1932, and it was opened by Sir Maurice Jenks. He was the Lord Mayor of London at the time, and he actually came to open Morecambe Town Hall via plane, hot from Croydon Aerodrome. Sir Maurice Jenks is actually of Warringtonian descent. His mother and father were from Warrington like me. That would be a Robert Isaac Jenks and a Francis Garnett. Who knows, maybe I'll be Lord Mayor of London one day. It replaced the old Town Hall, which is just around the corner. Still there. That's Bimble. And this is it, Bimblers. The old Town Hall here in Morecambe. Still on Morecambe Street, brackets west. Not the grandest building I've ever shown you here on the channel, but I'm trying to show you everything. We've been to Morecambe before. I've told you all about how people from Yorkshire used to come here on the summer holidays. And I've told you about how it gets its name from the Romans. And I've told you all about Eric Bartholomew. You know, Eric Morecambe, as in Morecambe and Wise. That's everything, apart from the kitchen sink. That's Bimble.
I'll only ever know how to speak my mind, my mind.
Before 1992, where I'm sat right now would have been Central Pier here in Morecambe. It would have stretched out 912 feet, and it was one of two piers here in Morecambe. It was Central Pier and West End Pier on the other side of the stone jetty. Central Pier was built in 1869, and it cost around £10,000. That's approximately £1 million in today's money. Like most ex-piers, it burnt down. Not once, but twice. The first fire happened in 1933, when the pavilion at the end burnt down. That pavilion was described as the Taj Mahal of the North. However, they also described the Ashton Memorial over in Lancaster as the Taj Mahal of the North. Clearly it was a legend bandied about willy-nilly. That wasn't all of its bad luck. It used to have a landing stage at the end of the pier so that steamers could dock, bring in holidaymakers. But apparently that collapsed as one of the steamers was approaching, and 50 people fell in the water. That was in 1895. Very embarrassing. The last fire at the pier finished it off. That was in 1991. And in 1992 they just demolished it. There's no evidence it was ever here now. A lot of people were sad to see the pier go. And one of those people was a man called John Osborne. He's a playwright. He apparently finished off Look Back in Anger whilst on the pier. He described it as his open-air office. Look Back in Anger is thought to be the first kitchen sink drama, and it was the inspiration for Coronation Street. And if you look very closely on the beach, there's a sculpture, well, I say a sculpture, a Belfast sink with a plaque on it. Well, it had a plaque on it anyway. And that's dedicated to where the first kitchen sink drama was written. Unfortunately now gone. There you go. The kitchen sink.